Welcome back to Friday Coffee Talks. I'm Connor Volpe. I'm your host, and this is episode 94. We are talking over coffee on a Friday. Last weekend was awesome. We went all in on Christmas finally. We've been doing bits and pieces here and there of decorating and doing all this stuff, but this past weekend, we got everything down from the attic. We put all the inflatables out in the yard. We put up all the lights, and we got ready for Christmas. We went all in on getting everything ready to go. Put my ladder up in places it probably shouldn't have been to try to get lights on the bushes and everything. That we went to Home Depot and let the kids pick out their new inflatable this year. And we went out and got the tree. It was epic. It was something we didn't even realize that we'd waited too late to get a tree. But it'd been raining for like a week and a half straight in Atlanta. And so we kept pushing off. We'll get the tree later. You know, it's pouring down rain. We're not going to get the tree, blah, 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 blah. When we finally went out this weekend, there were like no trees left. Home Depot was sold out, basically. Pike Nursery was just sold out, and we ended up finding a wonderful tree at the Buford Corn Maze. They had a great tree lot set up, so we got a great one. But we are ready to go. We're all in on the Christmas stuff. The house is decorated. The outside is decorated. It's wonderful. I am such an IT nerd. Everything is controllable by Alexa, it's just the best. So we are in the Christmas spirit now, so much so that I got the red and green lights going on behind me. I'm changing the set for Friday Coffee Talks. I'm all in on Christmas. Let's go. But part of that, a big part of that for our family is Christmas movies. Yes, Christmas movies. They're amazing. Everybody loves them. It's one of the only seasons that has its own set of movies. But the debate over Christmas movies and which one is the best, which one is your favorite, it's something that will never be settled. I mean, we can just say that right now. I'm going to share a list of my favorites today, but my list is my list, and your list is yours, and they're very different. This is MJ versus Kobe. This is deep dish versus New York pizza. This is one of those things that will never, ever be solved. You will never come to a concrete answer of what is the best Christmas movie. Even in a situation like this, I started out to do the Christmas movie Mount Rushmore. So pick my top 4 Christmas movies. I couldn't even do that. I had to do 5. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. Connor Volpe's Friday Coffee Talks top 5 Christmas movies of all time. Are you ready? Let me just give you a little warning for those of you who may be very passionate about Christmas movies. My list will not have A Christmas Story. My list will not have Miracle on 34th Street. My list will not have It's a Wonderful Life.
That's shocking.
I know, buddy. I know. But this is what it is. My list is my list. Those are all great movies. There's nothing against any of them, but my list is my list. And we're going to start with the one that you just saw a clip from. Elf, of course, the number 1 movie on the list. These are in no particular order. So the first movie I'll share with you is Elf. Will Ferrell is a genius. Will Ferrell is comedy for guys of my generation. He's made so many good movies. SNL, he was iconic, but Elf is near the top of that list. It's so good. Jon Favreau, you may or may not know his name. He's one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. He's directed tons of movies, Iron Man being one of them, Chef being another one. Love both of those. But Elf is one of my all-time favorites. Fun fact, the director of the movie, Jon Favreau, also plays the doctor that has to stop Buddy from eating the cotton balls. So that's the director, a little cameo there in the movie. So one of my favorite scenes from Elf is this one, where he's sharing the 4 major Elf food groups.
Can you pass the maple syrup, please?
I didn't put... It's spaghetti.
You know what? I think I have something. Yes.
You like sugar, huh?
Is there sugar in syrup?
Yes.
Then yes! We elves try to stick to the 4 main food groups. Candy, candy canes, candy corns, and syrup.
The maple syrup. Gosh, I love maple syrup. I never had the Buddy the Elf spaghetti. My sister and I always wanted to try it growing up. But you know, all the candy and the syrup and the chocolate syrup and the Pop-Tarts. It was like every kid's dream to make the Buddy the Elf spaghetti. We never did, luckily. But we always wanted to, right? 4 major food groups. It's one of the things. The other one is, there's so many funny quotable lines from Elf. It is such an iconic Christmas movie. But one of the ones that always sticks out, you've got the mailroom, you've got the snowball fight, you have all these different funny lines of Buddy, But one of my favorite ones that always sticks out is this one.
Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? Put that down.
Being in sales, I'm on the phone a lot. And even now, many, many years after Elf came out, I still want to pick up the phone and go, Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? It's just sticks in my head. So that is, one thing you'll see through this episode. One of my favorite things about watching movies, not just Christmas movies, but all movies, is quoting lines, is knowing movie trivia, studying the IMDb page and knowing the cast, knowing the actors' names, but mainly quoting. My brain operates in movie quotes. That's just part of it for me. And so a lot of these, you're going to see clips of my most quotable lines from these movies. So Elf is the first one on the list. The number 2 movie on the Friday Coffee Talks top 5 movies of all time is Christmas Vacation. How could it not be Christmas Vacation, right? Chevy Chase is an icon of the Christmas scene, of entertainment in general. I will put the caveat before he was a rowdy butthead. He is the best. I mean, he is Clark Griswold, and Christmas Vacation is up there with the best of all time. You've got the scene where he brings the tree in. I think about this every single year. I just talked about getting our tree. I am a real tree guy. Our family is a real tree family. It will be as long as I have a say in the matter. But every year I bring the tree in, I put on my gloves and try to make sure that I'm not making a mess, and I put on the base and bring it in, get it in the stand and everything. And every year when I cut that little net off, I think of this line.
Ready? I give you the Griswold family Christmas tree.
A lot of sap in here. Looks great. Little full. A lot of sap.
Looks great. Little full. A lot of sap. It's a throwaway line, but it just sticks in there. It's just so good. Little full. A lot of sap. Every single time I think of it. The other one from Christmas Vacation that sticks out to me is one that I also just talked about a minute ago. The scene where he's hanging the lights. I mean, when you have a ladder precariously balanced on a landscape wall, leaning into a bush, reaching out, trying to get the last of the lights in the bushes. I mean, how can you not think about this scene? I'm reaching, I'm hooking up cords, and I'm thinking of stapling my arm to the side of the house, bouncing back and forth from tree to house to falling. It's just so good. There are plenty of scenes from Christmas Vacation that are quotable. I mean, you've got the chainsaw over the head, bend over, why don't I show you? You've got Cousin Eddie out in the street emptying the RV into the sewer. There's so many good lines, but that is the one I think of all the time. And I've got one more I'll get to in a little bit, but when the time is right. So Christmas Vacation is the number 2. The third movie on my list is How the Grinch Stole Christmas. The Jim Carrey version, the live action version, as my kids call it. I've got a lot of love for Benedict Cumberbatch. Nothing against him. The newest animated version is great. The old version from like the 40s or whatever with Boris Karloff narrating, I watched so many times with my grandmother growing up. It's an absolute classic. I love it. But if I had to pick one Grinch, I'm going with the real life Grinch with Jim Carrey. And that's the reason why is Jim Carrey. He really makes the movie. He embodies the Grinch. He is the Grinch. Nobody else could have done what he did to make that movie. The makeup, the prosthetics, the props, just everything to turn Jim Carrey into the Grinch was so masterfully done. It is a clinic in filmmaking and especially in makeup art. It was phenomenal. So the first one that I want to show from the Grinch is this one right here.
But what would I wear?
not a dress, it's a kilt! Sicko! Stupid. Ugly. Out of date. This is ridiculous. If I can't find something nice to wear, I'm not going. Oh. Ah. That's it, I'm not going.
I think about this scene so often when I'm getting ready to go to like a work meeting or something. I'm trying to pick out a shirt. It's like, ooh, ah, I'm not going. I think about it all the time. It's so good. Absolutely perfect. The other one is a clip from very early on in the movie. And it was something that when I was young and I watched this movie for the first time, I knew it was going to be amazing just from this one scene.
So they want to get to know me, do they? They want to spend a little quality time with the Grinch. I guess I could use a little social interaction.
So in the original, in the cartoon version from Dr. Seuss, it's a version I've watched a bazillion times. And there's the iconic scene, the classic Grinch scene where he does that smile and his face curls up and his little twirly hairs curl. And when he realizes his plan, he decides he's going to make the fake Santa Claus suit. And that is such a pivotal moment in that movie that they absolutely nailed with Jim Carrey. I couldn't believe how perfect they made that. And it couldn't have been done by anybody else. Jim Carrey's absolute maniac talent as an actor to be able to pull off that smile, to make that Grinch face in real life. It was like seeing something jump off a page for me. It was amazing. So I love that scene. The other one from the Grinch that I'm going to play, I mean, there's so many I could, but the other one here is this one where he's singing You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch.
With this coat and this hat, I'll look just like Saint Nick. Ho, ho, ho!
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel.
You're as cuddly as a cactus and as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch.
You're a bad banana with a greasy black beard.
Just face the music, you're a monster, Mr. Grinch.
Yes, you are. Your heart's an empty hole.
Your brain is full of spiders, you got Gallagher's soul, Mr. Grinch. Well, I wouldn't touch you with a 39 and a half foot pole.
Such a great scene. There are plenty of others in the movie, but gosh, I love that one. If I had to pick one, I'd say You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch is probably my favorite Christmas song. And so to get to see that acted out in live action in a movie, it's so good. I love that song. There's so many versions of it out there, but this one's great. Wouldn't touch you with a 39 and a half foot pole. When I think back to my childhood, I think that line, the seasick crocodile, you've got garlic in your soul, I think the words to that song probably stick in my brain more earlier than any other memory I have of like memorizing lyrics. I mean, you've got like, kids songs, Wheels on the Bus, whatever. But when I think back to like remembering songs, You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch sticks out as one of the earliest songs I've ever remembered in my life. So thank you, Jim Carrey. How the Grinch Stole Christmas is movie number 3. Moving right along. Movie number 4 on my top 5 Christmas movies of all time. You know I had to say it. It's The Santa Claus, of course. You cannot have a list of top Christmas movies without Mr. Christmas Movie himself, Tim Allen. Tim Allen, you may not know this, Tim Allen has been in more theatrically released Christmas movies than anyone in history. He's got all 3 Santa Claus movies and Christmas with the Cranks. 4 Christmas movies that makes Tim Allen Mr. Christmas Movie. He wears the crown, and he should. The Santa Claus is so good. I've watched it a million times. It's one of the ones that I always come back to. Oh gosh, I envied Charlie growing up with Santa Claus as a dad so much. That movie is wonderful. It's so well done. The first clip I'm going to play from Santa Claus is this one. I'm a big breakfast guy. I got to say, I am a Waffle House guy, not a Denny's guy, but this scene is so good. After Scott Calvin burns the turkey, they go off to Denny's.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas.
All right. Denny's. It's always open.
I don't want to eat here.
What are you talking about? Everybody likes Denny's. It's an American institution.
Are you with Hatsutashi?
No.
Dad brought the turkey.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Come on. Right over there?
Thank you.
There we go.
Burn a turkey?
Coffee?
No, thank you, Judy. What do you say we start out with cold glasses of a delicious seasonal favorite, eggnog?
I don't like eggnog.
We're out.
Coffee, decaf.
Mm-hmm.
All chocolate milk, please.
We're out.
Plain milk's fine.
Okay.
At least we know they got hot apple pie.
We did.
Mm-hmm.
How about a nice cold seasonal favorite, eggnog? I think about that every time I pour eggnog. I think about this scene, the dad waving with the bandaged hand. It's hilarious. I love this scene. They're trying to order their Christmas food from the waitress, and everything's out. This scene is so good. I love it. The other one from the Santa Claus that I always come back to is this one.
I brought you some cocoa.
Oh, thanks.
My own recipe. Took me 1,200 years to get it right.
1,200 years.
That's right.
You know, I must say, you look pretty good for your age.
Thanks, but I'm seeing someone in wrapping.
This is good. This is really good.
Not too hot. Extra chocolate. Shaken, not stirred.
I drink hot cocoa. I love hot cocoa. I've had a lot of delicious hot cocoa in my life, but I will say that nothing has ever measured up to this scene. I don't know if I've had a more like visceral, realistic response to a scene, like an eating scene in a movie than this one. Every time that I drink hot cocoa, I want it in this like weird metal cup with the long legs, made by Judy, shaken not stirred, some 400-plus-year-old elf, and I want it to taste as good as that hot cocoa does in Scott Calvin's cup, and it's never quite measured up. The Swiss Miss powders, they're great. Making fancy, Ghirardelli, whatever, frou-frou hot chocolate as you can do, they're all good. But I don't think that there's ever a cup of hot chocolate that I'll have that will measure up to that hot cocoa in the Santa Claus. I don't think it's possible. The other one from the Santa Claus that I love the scenes of him fighting with Neil, of him like kind of transitioning into Santa Claus as he gets a little rounder, his beard starts to grow out, his hair starts to go white. There's the scene where he shaves in the morning and then it instantly grows back. I think about that scene so much. That scene is stuck in my head. I'll tell you what. There are times where Fallon or Savannah, my daughters, they'll do something that I know they're going to be trouble later, and I'll go, I'm in big trouble. It's that scene from the Santa Claus when he's shaving. I say it all the time, but the one that pops in my head probably more than any other one is this one.
I know you're Scott Calvin. You know you're Scott Calvin. So let's make this simple. I say name, you say Scott Calvin. Name.
Kris Kringle.
Name.
Santa Claus.
Name.
Père Noël. Babo Natale. Père Nicole.
Papa Gijo.
Okay, Calvin. Maybe a couple hours in the tank will change your mind.
Scott Calvin being interviewed by the police towards the end of the movie, and he's going through all the different names for Santa Claus. Popo Gigio. I say it every single time. It's so, so good. I love that movie, and Tim Allen is the perfect Santa Claus. So yeah, the Santa Claus is there. The last one on my list may be a little bit controversial, but I'm going to hit you with it. As we lead up to the last one on the list, I want to show you this. There it is. The most iconic Christmas scene of all time. You know I couldn't go this whole time without playing the scene where Clark Griswold plugs in the lights. Are you kidding me? This is it. I can think of, and we'll go over one in just a minute, of some scenes that I think are probably more my favorite. They're higher on the list. But when you think of Christmas, it's this scene. And I don't think there's a whole lot of arguing, because this is it. This is the quintessential Christmas scene. When Clark Griswold plugs in those lights, and they all come on, and the whole city dims, and Hallelujah and Joy to the World start playing, it is iconic. It's the one. It is the Christmas scene, and it's so perfect as we lead into the last movie on my list, and it is Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, better than Home Alone 1. Don't at me. I don't want to hear it. I will die on this hill. Absolutely. I will put up a fight for this because I believe it in my heart. Home Alone 2 is better than Home Alone 1. Now, let me say this. Nothing knocking Home Alone 1. Love Home Alone 1. Great movie. It's awesome. It is a classic. It had to pave the way. It walked so that Home Alone 2 could run. And it flies. Home Alone 2 is so, so good. And this is why. Being lost in New York, having to figure out his way around the city, not only find his uncle's apartment, the bird lady who's better than the shovel guy, Tim Curry as the maitre d' or the concierge, Rob Schneider with the fruit stripe gum, the old man in the toy store. I mean, come on. Home Alone 2 is perfect. It fits the story better. It makes Kevin have to be more resourceful to figure out his way around the bandits, sticky bandits this time, not the wet bandits. It is better than Home Alone 1. It's a wonderful Christmas movie, and it's number 5 on my list. I've got my list over here. The scenes. So let me show you the first scene from Home Alone 2 that I want to play. This is one I'm playing it just because it's lives rent free in my head. I say it all the time. Anytime I do anything that I'm frustrated by, you can ask my kids. It's every single time. I want to even wipe the goop off my head. Even from when my kids were like very small, they could barely talk. They will say because of this. I say it all the time, all the time. The other one from this that I want to focus on is, I talked about the scene from Christmas Vacation. Now I'm going to talk about this scene from Home Alone 2. I would take this scene and put it up against almost any other scene from any movie ever. I'm talking Scorsese. I'm talking Spielberg. I'm talking the big guys. I think this movie scene is in my top 5 scenes of all time of any movie in history because it is just so good. You will not agree with me, but this scene is so, so good. I'm going to play it uninterrupted in its entirety because it's that good.
I'm up here. Come and get me.
Let's kill. Hold on, pea-brain. We got busted last time because we underestimated that little bundle of misery.
This ain't like the last time. This ain't his house. The kid's running scared. He ain't got a plan.
May I do the thinking, please? Thank you. Sonny!
Yes.
Nothing would thrill me more greatly than to shoot you. Knocking off a youngster ain't gonna mean all that much to me. Understand? Mm-hmm. But since we're in a hurry, I'll make a deal with you. You throw down your camera, and we won't hurt you. You'll never hear from us again. Okay?
You promise?
I cross my heart and hope to die.
Okay.
Okay, kid. Give it to me.
Direct it.
How many fingers am I holding up, Marv? 8. Okay, kid. You want to throw bricks? Go ahead, throw another one. If you can't do any better than that, kid, you're gonna lose. Harry, You got any more? Come on, Marv, get up. You don't have any more bricks. He's out of them. What? What? Wow. That did it! Nobody throws bricks at me and gets away with it! Come on, Marv, get up! You go this way, I'm going around the back.
You knew it had to be the brick scene from Home Alone 2, right? I mean, come on. It's just so perfect. When Marv is laying down and he's and just keeps getting nailed with bricks. It's just so good. It's hilarious. All of the traps in this are great, but the brick scene just stands apart. It's so good. 8? I die every time. I've seen this scene. I'm not even exaggerating. I've probably seen this scene 1,000 times, and I still hysterically laugh every single time I see it. It is hilarious. So the brick scene from Home Alone 2 is fantastic. And then the last clip that I'll play today is a scene from Home Alone 2 that is wonderful. Let me just go ahead and play it for you real quick.
Morning, Mr. Castor.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Mr. McAllister, here's your very own cheese pizza.
Take a look at 5 and 10, glistening once again, with candy canes and silver lanes aglow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store. But the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own.
Hello? You know any good toy stores?
Yes, sir.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
When I was a kid watching this movie, I was probably 10 when this movie came out. In my 10-year-old brain, having a white limousine waiting for you with a cheese pizza that you'd hop in and pour yourself a champagne glass full of Coca-Cola, watch Christmas movies, drive around New York City, and be taken to a toy store was the pinnacle of class and fanciness. I could not have thought of anything else in my 10-year-old brain that would make me more successful or feel more classy and fancy than this scene right here. And fast forward to me as a 34-year-old man, I still can't. This is it. This is I would pay so much money to go and do this. And I know that they have, like, you can actually do this experience now through the Plaza Hotel, right around the limo. They'll have the pizza for you and all that stuff. And it's become super commercialized and tourist trappy and all that kind of stuff. And I get that. But I would go to New York and I would pay thousands of dollars to have this experience because it is something that I have pined over my entire life. I want to go to New York. I want to ride in a daggum white limo, and I want to eat a giant pizza all by myself and feel like I'm the richest man in the world and that I can do anything. Because I know in my heart of hearts that that's how Kevin McAllister felt that day. Walking into Duncan's Toy Barn, Duncan's Toy Chest, and getting the turtle doves. I mean, come on. That's it. That is the day. So that's my list. The top 5 Friday Coffee Talks movies of all time. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'm sure that you do. And I want to hear about it. Post me a comment, send me a message. I want the debate. Bring it on. I can handle it. I'm a big boy. These are my 5, and I will stick by my 5, but I want to know what your 5 are. What did I miss? What did I snub? I want to hear about it all. So leave me a comment. Let's have a discussion. I want to hear it. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful week. I appreciate you swinging by, and I'll catch you next week.